In the upper right hand corner, we're going to find what's called the view cube. And by its name, you can tell that's how we get certain views. So by choosing a side of the cube, that's what you're going to align your drawing to. Right now I have a top view selected. You can see that I'm looking at this plant drawing from the top. We can also switch it around and we can go by compass drawings as well. We can switch back to a home view, which we can also set to be any place we want. Perhaps we want the home view to be over here, where you can do that with a right click. And then just go ahead and set that current view as home. Now, we can also choose between a parallel view, which is more like orthographic drawings, or we can set a perspective view. And if you notice, the perspective view looks a little bit more like the way that you would see things with the human eye. Um, you can also rotate from here. You can grab this and you can drag it around. So you can use that as a pivot point as well. Go ahead, hit your home view to get you back in place. You have a drop down here, so you can either do a right click or a drop down to get to these settings. But one of the other things that you can do is you can go into your view cube settings. Perhaps you don't want that to be on the top right. Maybe you want it to be on the bottom left. And all you have to do is OK that, and it'll bring it down to that bottom left. Go to your view cube settings again. Maybe I want to put that in the top left, and I want to change this view cube size. Maybe I want to make it very small, not as obvious. Maybe I want to change this opacity here to about 20%. You have many choices of appearance things that you can do with your view cube settings. I'll go ahead and OK so you can see that, and you'll see how that's been changed. Now, I can also go back to my settings and say restore all the defaults, and that's going to bring things back the way they were. Now let's take another look at something else that's kind of interesting that you can do with your view cube. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just go for a regular zoom right here. And I'm going to kind of zoom out a piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my view cube settings and I'm going to turn off the section that says zoom to extents after view change. So what happens is when I change views here, you're not going to get that zoom in. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to turn that on. I'll go ahead and apply that. And now when I go to here, you're going to see that it's going to zoom things to the extents of your drawing. So even if we zoom out, whenever we change views, let's go ahead and exit out of the zoom. It's going to bring you back in and zoom to extents. Another thing in the view cube that's worth mentioning is that we also have a rotate function. So you can rotate this in 90-degree increments. And don't forget, we can also grab things by the corner and view them like that. We can also set certain views to homes. Perhaps we want this to be our home view. Then we can just go ahead and set that current view as home. So even though we would be over here, if we go back to home, it will bring us to this previous view. Lots of things you could do with the view cube. Go ahead and experiment with it. It can make your modeling much easier.